brown open sky, a streak of gray, and a cheerful...
A loop, a whirl, and a vertical climb, and once again, you'll know it's time for the adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle and Friends.
Starring that supersonic speedster, Rocket J. Squirrel, with his pal Bullwinkle the Moose, and a host of others.
Hurry, Bullwinkle! The show's about to start!
I'm coming as fast as I can.
Wave to the people!
What a great way to start a Saturday morning. Yay! Hey, yay. How are you today? I'm Brian, and this is Brian's Beat. It is the only show born at the apex of freedom, entrepreneurship, and nomadism. It is going to be an absolutely gorgeous beach day, a great Saturday to get out to, you name it, Round Hill, West Beach, Horseneck. Get out and enjoy. Go out to the water. It is also a big, well, I'll get into that in just a second. It is it's the opening salvo type day. ABC did an excellent job telling you what they want you to know. Now it's my turn to tell you what I would like you to know. Red Sox bloodied last night, 12-2 against Arizona. Same two teams this afternoon at Fenway. The Patriots' final preseason game is tomorrow, 8 p.m., right here on WBSM. What else? It is the last full weekend before Labor Day. Last full weekend before Labor Day. I remember having a conversation about a month ago with a woman friend, and we both commented how fast July went. If I were to sit down with her and ask her later on today, maybe tomorrow, do you think August went by faster than July? My brain is telling me right now, yeah. Yeah, it did. But I know both months have 31 days. How is it? They're back-to-back like that, and they seem to go by quicker than December, January. You know, January is kind of slow anyway. But both of those are 31-day months. Anyway. You now have 123 shopping days before Christmas. 124 if you like to get up early on Christmas morning, maybe take a little drop into the 24-hour CVS and pick up a gift or two, a stocking stuffer. Vote early, but not often. Early voting in the state begins today. Plenty of early activity in downtown New Bedford. I saw folks sleeping outside the bus, smoking cigarettes, doing some other stuff that they probably should not have been doing. If the economy is so great, why cut interest rates? Under $3. Regular unleaded gasoline over at BJ's under $3 a gallon. Idiot Brian continues to follow your tax dollars. And what did I find out? Bacon Hill lawmakers estimate about $700 million, the cost to help steward hospitals during the transition. The Kennedy family feels betrayed now that RFK Jr. endorses Donald Trump. Meanwhile, Bay State Republicans have a shelter plan. More on that after the Brian's Beat quote of the day. Charter schools and cell phones. Jim has our Town Square Sunday preview. The Bitcoin Biz Barometer, next half hour. Monthly Fee RX brings us the Brian's Beat quote of the day. After we learn a little bit more about today, Saturday, August 24th, 2024. It is Can Opener Day. Can Opener Day. Now, I'm not sure if it's the electric can opener or if it's the manual one. You know, the one that you twist and twist and twist. Actually, I think they work better than the electric ones. But be that as it may, it's Can Opener Day. It's also International Day Against Intolerance, Discrimination, and Violence, based on musical preferences, lifestyle, and dress code. That's a lot. International Day Against Intolerance, Discrimination, and Violence. All of that based on musical preferences, lifestyle, and dress code. It's sad, but that type of violence does happen. I have to admit, when I hear some of the music, when I see some of the attire, I tend to discriminate. And I got to tell you, you got somebody coming into the shop wearing jeans that have holes all over them, ear piercings, and all the way down to the cheek. Yeah, I'm going to discriminate and say, you might want to find a job somewhere else. But be that as it may, that's me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for my intolerance, but that's me. International Strange Music Day. I thought of the Doors when I heard that Strange Music Day. Strange days are coming. Knife Day. Is somebody going to try to tell me that the knife was invented on this particular day, so it's Knife Day? I didn't look it up, so I don't know. Knife Day. National Peach Pie Day. Well, we've done a lot with peach. Peach pie. Peach tort. Too much peach. How about this one? National Waffle Day. National Waffle Day. Nothing like a good waffle. Nothing like a good waffle. And to go with that good waffle, how about a waffle iron? It's also National Waffle Iron Day. Only stands to reason that the waffle iron and the waffle should go together. Somebody had a brilliant idea. Pluto demoted. Pluto demoted. It's also Shooting Star Day, which begs the question, with those two astronauts stuck in outer space, when are they coming home? One of them's from Massachusetts. The British, not only were they coming, but they made it to Washington, D.C. on this date in 1814. They burned the White House. They burnt the Capitol building. Then they realized, hey, let them fix them up and let's get out of here. They did. Talked about the waffle iron just a second ago. 1869, it was invented by some guy by the name of Cornelius. Waffle iron, Cornelius. Remember that one. Edison did it again, this time in 1891. He invented the motion picture camera. Gotta hand it to Thomas Edison. He kept on plugging and plugging and plugging and plugging to get the electricity. But once he got that thing cooking, he didn't stop. 1932, Amelia Earhart becomes the very first woman to fly nonstop cross-country. Well, if you call L.A. to Newark, New Jersey cross-country, she did it. Nobody else, no other woman, that is, had done it before. Do you think there'll be a day when we find out that you name the person? Why don't we say it like this? You name the pronoun was the first pronoun to fly nonstop cross-country. L.A. to, I don't know, Boston. Hello, NATO. The North American Treaty Organization started this date 75 years ago. The president who warned us about the military-industrial complex, he outlawed the American Communist Party 70 years ago this very date. That would have been 1954. And it must have worked because in 1991, Head Red Gorbachev resigned the Soviet Communist Party. Now, how does all that work? We kicked the American Communist Party out. I think they're back in here now. So much for that. But the Communist Party of the Soviet Union has been diminished quite a bit. They're still around, but they don't have anywhere near the power, the weight that they used to have prior to 1991. Certainly when they crushed Yugoslavia and Czechoslovakia back in the 1960s and 70s. Nothing like back in those days. Now imagine you are a regular planet in outer space. You know, a place where the Jetsons might fly to. And then all of a sudden this body of scientists decide that they're going to demote you. The planet Pluto in 2006 demoted from regular planet status to what they call a dwarf planet. We still like you, Pluto, but I mean, now you're a dwarf. You might as well be out with Sleeping Beauty and those dwarfs. It's still a planet, but it's a dwarf planet. Isn't it number 9? Do we have another number 9? I forgot how many planets we have, but really, it's a dwarf planet. Monthly Fee RX brings us the Brian's Beat quote of the day. If you're spending less than $20 a month for prescription drugs, great. If not, then our Monthly Fee RX service might be a good option for you. Check for yourself at monthlyfeerx.com. And the Brian's Beat quote of the day comes from Earl Nightingale. This guy was fabulous. He's no longer with us. He is the voice of voice, former radio personality, but he became quite the motivational speaker. Wait till you hear this. His quote, I'm going to speak the quote. I probably should have played a recording of the quote just so you could hear this guy's pipes. Oh, unbelievable. Anyway, the quote from Earl Nightingale. It is our attitude toward life which determines life's attitude toward us. It is our attitude toward life which determines life's attitude toward us. 508-996-0500 is how you get onto the program today. Thanks if you are getting into your car or your boat. One of the greatest things right now is Bluetooth. And you can use Bluetooth on your cell phone and connect up with us so you can hear us in crystal clear sound. And we all can thank SouthCoast Towing for making this available, the WBSM app, for absolutely free. 60 degrees in Carver, 61 in Fall River, 60 in New Bedford. 508-996-0500 for WBSM. But now, he's leaving his independency. That was RK Jr., in case you didn't recognize the voice. He dropped out of he has suspended his campaign in battleground states, basically saying, you know what, I'm throwing in the towel. I listened to bits and pieces of the speech yesterday, and he had a lot of valid points. You heard a few right there about what the Democrats had done, and he also talked about how well, or seemingly well, his campaign was running. But then, if things are going so well, Bobby, then why drop out? I mean, if you really, he talked about all the workers who are out in snowstorms and in unbearable heat. Well, those people are dismayed that you're dropping out. Are you working for them? Are you working just for yourself? At any rate, he's joining up with Donald Trump. We know that. We knew that coming into this week, basically. But boy, did RFK Jr. have quite a bit to say, and he wasn't incorrect about what the Democrats have done to him and his campaign. And one of the questions I'd like to throw out, yes, I know what time it is. One of the questions that I would like you to consider, is there an easier way, should there be an easier way, for independent candidates to run? I mean, should the criteria be what the Democrats and what the Republicans say who can and cannot be? What about if you've gathered enough signatures to get onto the ballot? Isn't that good enough? To me, it's good enough. I don't have to vote for you, but it might be great to know what you have to say. I am a diehard libertarian, as long as they stay the Libertarian Party anyway. But I listen to what some of the other candidates have to say. Shouldn't I have that option? Shouldn't I be allowed that option? RFK Jr. also took the slingshot out at the major media, who I would agree have been complicit in what's been going on with the politics. In particular, I would like to believe, if I was covering the campaign trail out on the primaries, or Joe Biden wasn't out on the primaries, but if I was covering the White House, that I may have noticed a cognitive decline in President Biden. I'm the type of guy that if I'm a TV reporter, if I'm a newspaper reporter, I'm writing that up. Now, my editor, my producer, they may axe the piece, but at least I wrote it up. I am absolutely, partially, kinda, not really, amazed that all of the networks, none of the major networks, wanted to report on any of this. Now, I don't think it's piling on Donald Trump as much as it is courting the favors of being able to cover the major candidates and the amount of money that they contribute to the campaigns, because it's not just who's running for president. It's the debates that bring in money and advertisers. And then the candidates who are running, when they're advertising in the individual states, they usually advertise on the networks. So there's a lot of money involved here. And we always say, let's take the money out of the politics. Well, you can't do that. You take the money out of the politics and you're going to make everybody go broke. These 4 years, the 4 years, 24, 28, 32, go back to 20. These are huge years for media. There are a lot of commercial buys. Now, for us here in the Commonwealth, locally, the 2 years are also pretty big, because we've got local candidates running for office. And then here at WBSM, when the New Bedford city councilors are running for office, and some of the folks that are running for town office, they'll throw in some money for their campaign. I don't want to make it sound like it's minute by saying they'll throw in some money, but it's nothing compared to what you're going to hear on the congressional level, on the senatorial level, and certainly on the presidential level. So there's big bucks involved. And you know what? The networks don't want to lose out on that money. So are they complicit? Yeah. Are they part of the game? Yeah. But you would think that there would be one that would say, look, I'm not going to play the Sky Rizzy ad. We want to tell the real truth about what's going on with the president. 508-996-0500. I do appreciate your patience. Hello.
Hey. So it pains me to do this.
Do it. Do it.
Yeah. with RFK joining the Trump campaign, I'm a little cynical, or at least suspicious, because it was also reported that he reached out to Kamala Harris, and I don't know why. Is this guy just trying to position himself for a cabinet position?
Probably.
So if she offered him, I don't know, HHS, CIA, some high-level position, would he be endorsing her? You know, because I look at his past remarks, and they don't align with Donald Trump on a lot of issues, environmental specifically. He's a huge environmental guy, and Donald Trump's more just completely opposite of what
you're coming in and out. I need you to turn one way and stop.
Okay, how's that? Better?
Much better.
Are we better?
Much better.
Okay, cool. So where did I leave off when I started turning into a robot?
The stars don't align, and you were giving a couple of bullet points about how they don't.
So RFK doesn't really align with Donald Trump on a lot of issues.
He does
and
not.
What happens, you have your environmental. He's very environmental. Donald is all about drilling for oil and gas, which is, I agree, but it doesn't line up with RFK. And also his views on, or at least his vice presidential candidate's views on everything health related. Like, she's off the wall also, very, very very much on the left. And for the campaign to go over and endorse Trump, I just say, would he be going with Kamala if Kamala actually answered her phone? And
who knows? She didn't.
I don't weigh RFK's endorsement very heavily, because it seems like it's more of a gamesmanship on he's trying to position himself into the government.
I don't think that you are wrong to think that. And if I'm going to give up my campaign, I want something in return. This is about big money and power. Yeah. Money he has, the power he doesn't. And if he can get his foot in the door, he's a step close. If he really wants to be president, he would be a step closer inside than outside.
Correct. And so going forward, and I'm looking back at Donald Trump, and I've been an adamant, opponent of this guy. And this is where it really starts to pain me. I am willing to pull the trigger on Trump.
Why?
Because I agree with his domestic policy. I agree with his border policy. I agreed with his border policies before. I disagreed on how he treated John McCain, on how his supporters treat Crenshaw from Texas, the current representative congressman from Texas. They attack Crenshaw, who lost his eye in combat. They attack him and calling him Eye Patch McCain, making fun of this guy that he got wounded in war.
Yeah.
Like, I find it very disgusting that his supporters are willing.
But it doesn't bother you. You would still throw that vote down because RFK Jr. has joined the campaign?
Absolutely not. No. No, that RFK Jr. doesn't hold any weight, because I believe this is just a gamesmanship on his side, where he's just trying to position himself.
But I don't recall you changing until seemingly after RFK Jr. Placed his endorsement.
No,
now, if you told me this last week or last month, I would say, "Oh, okay." I might not agree, but
no. So this is a culmination of like other conversations I've had with friends who are very independent, have gone for Republicans and for Democrats, and we had in-depth conversations about domestic policies. And I'm like, and they were just throwing bullet points at me. Do you agree with Donald Trump's border policy? Yes. Do you agree with Donald Trump's tax policy? Yes, mostly. Do you agree with Donald Trump's this, that, and the other? And it was all domestic. Now, when it comes to his foreign policy, granted, I completely agree with the no wars thing, but I disagree with how he attacked our allies on a personal level, where he said that they're just, using us and they're not really good friends. And and this is on like a national stage, in an international stage, all the while he's over there shaking hands with Kim Jong-un. You can't slap France in the face and shake hands with North Korea in the public eye. You want to denigrate them. You want to chastise them for maybe not paying their quota into Do that on the down low. Do that on a private phone call.
Why does it have to be on a private phone call?
Well, because
how else are you going to shame them into paying their fair share, so to speak?
Well, you don't do that on a national, and I say that because it projects weakness.
On whose part?
On the alliance's part in itself.
But I think that is part of what I'm not a Donald Trump fan, but I think that's what he was trying to show. He was trying to get them to pay.
No, I get that. I understand that 100%. But you do that on the down low, say, listen.
Donald Trump does things the way Donald Trump wants to do them.
Which is where I was disagreeing with him.
But it sounds like you're going to vote for him.
No, I'm like I said, I'm on the fence.
Doesn't sound like it. You better hope that there aren't some nice spikes on that fence.
But my main point is this. I didn't like how he palled around with North Korea. You don't pal around with North Korea. This guy is psychotic, right? He is a communist. You don't pal around. Ronald Reagan.
Ho. You're all over the place.
Go ahead.
So, we pal up with communists all the time. So why not the North Korean communist?
Well, because they are more of an international threat. They're more of an international threat.
They are international. That stands to reason.
Right. They're an international threat where other communist countries are kind of like, other communist countries aren't as strong as, say, North Korea with their alliances. North Korea is so closely aligned with China, it makes them more powerful, versus Venezuela, which is, whatever. They're not a huge threat to us. So we can, mess around with them a little bit. I get it. It's wrong, but it's something we've done forever, even with Ronald Reagan. It doesn't make...
Look,
it's something that we've always done.
We are pals with China. Look, we've got communists right underneath us. If you want to look at Cuba, they're communist nations that we are friends with. I think you need to be friends with as many nations as possible, because the more of those nations you piss off, the more they're going to end up joining BRICS, and all of a sudden the United States and maybe Australia, New Zealand, Great Britain, and those companies. We're going to be by ourselves.
Oh, I agree. Alliances are extremely important. And not so much being friends, but being just acquaintances. I have no problem with that, right? We work well with China.
I don't know that North Korea wants us coming over to travel and take a look. I know a couple of people that have been in there, and they kind of snuck in and they helped to sneak some people out.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe in my lifetime, nobody from this country was able to go to China. Things have changed. So Vietnam in my life was public enemy number one, maybe number two, next to Cuba and the former Soviet Union. But look at it now. So, but we digress.
Correct.
You going to vote for Trump or not?
You sound like my friends that we're having this discussion with. Like I said, I'm.
It's a yes or a no.
Absolutely not.
Come on, early voting starts today, but not for that election.
But yeah, so on the domestic side, if foreign policy was not an issue, I would be voting for Trump. But my problem is I do not like how he treated our allies in the public eye. You want to chat, like I said, chastise them on the phone quietly, say, listen, you need to stop paying up, or this is what's going to happen. And then if they call you bluff, then you do it. And then you release the tapes on the private phone call. You release those transcripts to prove to people, listen,
it might not make him sound good. You know, it's always a two-way street, and it's correct. You know, it's how you state it to whomever, as much as what you're stating to whom. Look, the United States is not the United States that we were after World War II and even during the height of the Cold War. Our strength isn't what it used to be. So whether it's Donald Trump in there or Kamala Harris or Tim Buchan too. Things are now different because lots of people have bombs, lots of people have money, and there's now going to be a whole new system coming into the fray that the United States isn't going to be a part of, and that's going to just whittle away at our economic clout. Hey, thank you much for your call. I do appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
508-996-0500 to get onto the program today. RFK Jr. has stepped out. There was a story that I started to bring up yesterday. I hadn't really had a chance to read into it. I did overnight and today. It deals with the Massachusetts Republican Party. They have decided that they are going to. They've decided that they would like to do a ballot question. Now they're deciding on whether or not to do a ballot question dealing with the shelter in place and shelter situation here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I'm going to get into that in just a bit. Right now, I think it's time to go over to Studio 6 and 7/8. That is where Jim is. And Jim is going to give us an update on what's going to happen tomorrow on Town Square Sunday.
Good morning, Brian. Good morning, everyone. Here's what's happening this week on Town Square Sunday. The Global Learning Charter Public School in New Bedford is adopting a new policy this year to store phones away from students while they're in the building. New Executive Director Steve Furtado Jr. joins us to explain the policy and more. In an encore broadcast, we'll share the story of Gnome Surf and the remarkable work it's doing with disabled children and families. And Joe Ritter will be with us to talk about some of the happenings at the New Bedford Fishing Heritage Center. I'm Jim Phillips. Join me for Town Square Sunday, Sunday morning at 6 and 11 on 1420 WBSM and 99.5 FM.
Thank you very much, Jim. The Bitcoin Biz Barometer, where we measure the universal crypto marketplace. Wow, what a sea change. A lot of negatives last week, plenty of positives today. Coming in at $64,214 is Bitcoin. That's up $5,052 from last week at this time. Ethereum, $2,762, up $164. Binance Coin at $579, that's up $58. Solana is up $15 at $154. If I recall, it went down $15 the week before. So 2 weeks ago, it was at the same price of $154. XRP is up a nickel at 61 cents. Ton coin staying even at 6. And Dogecoin is up a penny at 10 cents. 10 cents. Actually, it's 11 cents. It was 10 cents last week. So it's up a penny after being down a penny. Lots of pennies and nickels being thrown all over the place. That's your Bitcoin Biz Barometer for today, August 24th, 2024. I always get my numbers from coinmarketcap.com because they are updated every second of the day. As I meant, let me back up a little bit because for the longest time, I'm going to say it's been a pretty good year now. I have been out championing the idea of a ballot question to deal with the shelter-in-place law and this whole thing dealing with sheltering migrants, and not just migrants from outside the country, but migrants that come in from outside the Commonwealth. Well, the libertarians may not have been listening or listening well enough, and other folks that might call themselves independents, they could give a rat's whatever. But the Republicans, apparently the word got out to them because now they are considering a ballot question for 2026. Now you're thinking that's a long time away. Well, for one thing, the next statewide election isn't until 2026. I say it like that because we're already past the timeline for getting a ballot question on for 2024. So, folks have been talking about it. The chair of the state Republican Party, Amy Carnival, it's still early in the process, but the idea of a ballot initiative is something that we have discussed. I think at this point, given the financial ramifications of the shelter system and the migrant crisis, all cards are on the table. Yeah, I don't think all cards are on the table. I think, and judging by what I've read here from the Boston Herald, is that at best, the Republicans are trying to go for what they believe would be a certain win-win. Here's what I mean. There is a belief here in the Commonwealth, and I'm not quite sure I'm in that camp, but I think it should come up for a vote. There is a belief that if you were to challenge the shelter law, that people here in the Commonwealth favor that shelter law. That might be true. I think that the only way you find out is if you give it to the voters to vote on it. I think you'd get a lot of people that are eligible to vote to get out there and vote. That stated, it looks like what this question will do if it ever gets formulated and circulated for signatures is that it would give priority for people that live here in the Commonwealth, which is a good idea, a good first step. And it would also put some type of timeline on how long you've been in the Commonwealth. What I did not see in this brief language would be, well, if you came here illegally, but you've been here for whatever the time limit is, 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, if you're then eligible. And I think there are lots of people that are here in the Commonwealth that would not want folks that are here illegally to be able to be a part of the shelter system. But rather than me speak for you or them, why don't you tell me your gut feeling? I'm for a ballot question. I think that we should go for the whole enchilada. And let's get a feel for where people are coming from with this. Because I have a feeling if we were to ask folks a couple of questions, one question would be, should Massachusetts be a sanctuary state? I think that we're somewhere near the 50-50 on that. I'm not sure if it's 48, 52, 52, 48, 53, 40. You know, I think that it's too hard to call. But I think that we should have a ballot question because one thing's for sure, if folks vote against sanctuary statehood, that changes a lot. You might not even need a part of the ballot question dealing with the shelter system because if you say you're not going to be a sanctuary state, then it should roll over to the fact that folks that come here illegally would not be able to be a part of our Medicaid and our welfare programs and systems that are run by the Commonwealth and our housing. 508-996-0500. I would definitely be for that. My guess is the Republicans don't want to go down that road. The Democrats would love the Republicans to go down that road. And I want to find out how people feel. You know, I hear people saying that they're here illegally. Well, okay, they are here illegally, but nobody's kicking them out. Are you kicking them out? I'm not kicking them out. They're here. Some situation has to be meted out here to figure out what we are going to do. Or, and I know I don't want this. I certainly don't want the U.S. military coming into our backyard trying to look for folks that are here illegally. First of all, I don't think that I know that the military, at least here in the United States, isn't allowed to do that. And I don't think that we need to be changing rules around to try to go into everybody's apartment to try to find out who's here legally and who's not. And then next thing you know, let me see your papers. I don't want that. But I think the first step for us to take would be to take the temperature of the voting population here in the Commonwealth. Are you for illegals being able to stay here? If they make it here, it's a sanctuary state. Or are you against? That was RFK Jr. yesterday as he announced that he's suspending his campaign. The party he was talking about, his party or his former party, the Democratic Party. He has decided he is endorsing, not that he has endorsed former President Donald Trump. Should be interesting to find out if RFK Jr. gets a cabinet position or what kind of position he gets with the Trump administration. Looking like it's going to be a nice day. Temperatures have really started to get up there. It was in the low 60s early this morning, 65 in Acushnet, 63 in Westport, 66 in New Beige. And I heard a commercial from SouthCoast Towing. Got to thank them. They help us give you the WBSM app for free. And with that app, you can go and do a text. You can chat. We call it